Well, hi, everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and we are live on a Sunday afternoon, which means it's time for us to talk about coping with stress. And what I decided to do today was talking about coping with stress, helping to reduce your stress by movement. Movement not just of your body, but of your brain and things. And you will be amazed how just these little steps forward all the time add up to bigger results and therefore more achievement. And achievement always feels good, doesn't it? But also how little shifts in your mind can add up to big shifts in your whole thinking. And then, of course, little shifts in your body. What that can do for your self-esteem and so forth. Hi, Jody. Good to see you. For those of you who don't know, Jody is our admin, and she looks after us all the time. Really, it's great to see you. And what I found was what I think was a great quote to start off today, and that is about walking. And it said, you're going to love this. Walking is good for your life, right? All right. So walk away from arguments that lead you to anger and nowhere. Walk away from people who deliberately put you down. Walk away from the practice of pleasing people who choose never to see your worth. Walk away from any thought that undermines your peace of mind. And walk away from judgmental people. They do not know the struggles you are facing and what you have been through. And walk away from your mistakes and fears. They do not determine your fate. And the more that you walk away from things that poison your soul, the healthier your life will be. I hope you can feel that, everybody. I hope that you can feel that part of a movement is moving away from toxic things, people, ideas, whatever. And this is like, by the way, let other people have them. Let go of your judgments. If they want to hold on to those things, that is their right. All right. But you don't have to be there with them. And that is the whole point of this. All right. So I'm hoping that made some sense to a lot of you, because it's like when I look for these quotes, I think to myself, what could best describe what I am going to be talking about today? And I think that's it. And I found another one which I thought was cute. Let me just pull it up here, which is this. When life gets hard, remember, there's lots of beauty left to see, lots of adventures still to be had, and more love than you ever thought possible. So just hang on. To me, this is like, let us think about what it is that how we want to live each day. I said it, and I say it time and time again. None of us know how much time we have. None of us. And so from that perspective, those of us who think we've got a lifetime left might not be here this time next week. And those of us who think we might not be here next week might have a lifetime left. You see, my question is, how are you going to enjoy that lifetime? Please remember to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Really important, because that's where I do updates if I'm running late, or we've got thoughts and prayers needed for some of our viewers, things like that. And also, please make sure you follow us here on YouTube and give it a thumbs up if this is a subject that you need. And what it does is it tells me, okay, people need more of this, and therefore I will plan to do more. Just want to give a quick reminder that I am just somebody that's lived a long time. The thoughts you're going to hear are mine. And I don't have a fancy bit of paper. I do this work because I said to myself, if ever I go onto YouTube, I'm going to try and share what I've learned in my life and hope that that helps others. And I've always said, if it helps one person, then it was worth doing this broadcast. And so don't forget to leave comments and let me know what you heard that made a difference for you. I try to remember to add this quote in every week because I think it's a wonderful quote to live our lives by, and that is smile, because you look beautiful when you smile. Smile, breathe, and go slowly. I'm going to be talking quite a bit today about how I have changed in the last while. And a lot of what I have done is I have really slowed down my expectation of myself on a daily basis. And, it has made a difference. Big one, actually. Movement is a medicine for creating change in a person's physical, emotional, and mental stress. Movement is a medicine. Think about that. All right. As some of you have been following my journey, I'm working my way down from obese to overweight, and something wonderful happened this week. I knew that the leggings that I bought about a month ago, I bought, the size that I thought I needed, and I found out they were way too big. And so I ordered a size down. But here's what happened. A mistake happened. Have you ever had a mistake happen? And you see, I learned not to discount mistakes because sometimes, you need to go with the flow. Anyway, this mistake happened that instead of one size down, I accidentally ordered 2 sizes down. And when they arrived, my heart sank. How many of you know that feeling? Oh, no. Silly me, and I went, no, maybe I'm not silly. Maybe subconsciously my mind knows something that I don't. And so instead of, donating them or giving them to somebody else, they weren't worth returning at that price. I thought, well, let me just unpack them and try them on. Guess what? 2 sizes down, fit beautifully. And that's because I've been doing some good things. And can you imagine how that reinforced what I have been doing? It's taken a long time. It has taken a long time, right? I started this journey to get down. My goal was to get to overweight. I've still got a long way to go, but I'm getting closer. But, this is the whole thing, that I refuse to think of anything other than, on a daily basis, have I moved another step towards this? Now, do I still eat the wrong things? If you watch the broadcast on Friday, where I was doing everything with sugar, I knew I was going to pay the price for that. But, again, I had a choice. Did I want to spend the next day guzzling all that stuff up? Or did I want to spend the next day drinking a lot of water to compensate for that sugar? And I was quite surprised. Within quite a few hours, by the time I took my blood sugar, it was almost down to its normal range. So I did move in the right direction. I want to just give thoughts and prayers for both Erin and Jody, who are struggling with health issues this week and maybe for some time, and let them know that our thoughts and prayers are with them. I want to just, in case she doesn't come in or maybe listen to this later, to let Bernice know she is still in our thoughts and prayers because she's had a really tough time over the last few weeks and months, and is still waiting for some news that could change her life in a big way. I also wanted to make sure that we remember it was Charles's birthday on the 10th, so I hope that Charles being Beth's husband, I hope that Charles had a wonderful birthday, and that we've got a anniversary coming up for Erin, which is a difficult one, which is the passing of her father, which was on the 15th. But it's also the day that she has a biopsy on her liver. And so it's going to be a very tough day for her all around. And so let's just make sure that we are aware of that. If there are any birthdays this week about which I don't know, please let me know at DearMamaSal@gmail.com so that I can add it onto our database. And talking about movement in the right direction, you know, I had a problem about a year ago where something happened to the website that we have, and it nuked all my birthdays and everything that I had in there. And what I did was go, oh, this is ridiculous, and now I've got to start all over again. And you know, overwhelm, right? A big job to get everybody's birthdays back and in chronological order, and and I said, well, and that's what I'm going to do. And I think those of you who've known me a long time, you know my thinking. It takes as long as it takes. And with great joy, I want to tell you that it took a year. Why with great joy? Because I just said every week I'm going to, check if there are any more birthdays that we haven't got and keep adding them. And this year, this month, I must have started a year ago, because this month, guess what? I went to go and do a birthday card for somebody, and I realized I already had it. Because what I've also been trying to do is each time I produce a birthday card for somebody, a digital one, that I keep it now. And so I can, get an idea of which ones I need for September. And this was the first month that it was like, oh, look at that. It's already there. Now, does it mean it's perfect? Of course not. But a lot of the work is already done. But it took a year. Would you take a year to change something in your life that's a big thing that you think you've got to do in a week or a day? No, you don't. You can take whatever time you need to. And of course, I just wouldn't be who I am if I didn't take a moment just now to give again the thoughts and prayers for all those families that continue to be affected 20 years later of the devastation of 9/11. And I've seen some really interesting things on the news, and I like the way that some things have been handled. They actually got back and talked to those little children that President Bush was talking to at the time when the guy came in and told him, and if ever you want to see a lesson in body language, it was President Bush talking to these little toddlers, reading them a story, and in his ear he hears the World Trade Center. A plane has just crashed into the World Trade Center. And if you watch his reactions facially, and then he kept on smiling for the children. But if you watch, the smile changed absolutely from a very natural smile to the eyes just grew, and the smile became a pasted smile. But all credit to him that he did that. I don't know how he did it, and how he didn't say WTF or something like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But it was just like, really, imagine hearing that while you're busy talking, reading a story to children, and then he continued the story. That takes a lot of self-control, don't you think? Would you be able to do that? Or would you just say, this is more important. Sorry, kids, I'm out of here. By the way, how many parents do that every day? How many parents do that every day? And so, as I move on now onto the next section, which is our problem solver section, I want to start by saying, isn't the universe amazing? I, for a second, couldn't understand why suddenly I could feel the pain in my hip. I have arthritis of the hip. How come this knuckle here is causing me pain, that my thumb's causing me this knuckle here, and I'm going, why am I suddenly in pain? And then I went, I can feel it in my bones. How many of you remember that expression when somebody says, no, 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 the wet weather is coming. I can feel it in my bones. I know what they meant. Because how many of you also suffer from arthritis of some sort or any other thing where a change in the weather, you can feel it in your body? Yes, Kimmy does. All right. Hi, Kimmy. Good to see you. You're right. And I know Jody does because we talk about it all the time. But, it's like our bodies can tell us. But, it's also a red flag for me that says then it means it's time to do more movement. Time to do more movement, right? Because the more movement I do, the more flexibility I will have instead of saying, oh, it's really painful. It's like the more movement, it's now time for me to do a lot more movement of my fingers. And some of you is thinking I play the piano. I don't, but I pretend I do. Why? Because I want to now get that flexibility going back. Obviously, if the pain's coming, I have some inflammation. So it also means that I need more self-care. That's right, Jody. Jody's saying, yes, more movement and more self-care. So the self-care, I need to drink more lemon again. Start putting lemon juice in my water. Start doing, things that I've got out of the habit of doing because it's been summer. And all that, but why lemon? Oh, by the way, as we found out on Friday, more lemon, more lime, more orange, or more grapefruit. All of those are citrus, and they all have antibacterial properties. More honey. Honey has antibacterial. So lemon and honey tea. Not too much of it because I'm pre-diabetic. It also means to me that it is time that I start working on my mind in terms of the fact that the days are getting progressively shorter. And I suffer from a seasonal disorder. I wonder if any of you do. And that is that as the days get shorter, I need more and more light. And it's really important that you are aware if you suffer from it. And I do. I also know that it's time. And by the way, so what am I going to do about it, right? Because I take vitamin D all year, but vitamin D has really helped me not go into depression in the fall and winter. And it's such a simple thing, not expensive. I get the chewable one. So when I finished all my other meds, the last thing I take is my chewable vitamin D. Tastes great. And it's like a little candy. So I look at that and I go, that's a routine. You remember what we talk about is part of what gets us out of stress is a good routine, a routine that works for us. I also have started going to bed and listening to books when I go to bed. However, I need to change that routine a little bit because I've been doing it with my earplugs in, and I've been falling asleep with my earplugs in. It means that things going all night. But I did have an incredible amount of sleep last night, 11 hours. And and so it's like, I'm a great believer that whatever was going on there went into my brain anyway. But so therefore, I've got to, if I'm going to do that to myself, let me rather do it on days that I don't have to, get up and do something like do a broadcast. Because as you can imagine, I sort of went, what's the time? Oh my gosh. I'm also revisiting a book that I absolutely love in terms of helping with self-esteem and accountability and all those things. And I've been talking about it, and I'm going to continue to give you quotes from it. But that's from Dr. Wayne Dyer, his book, Your Erroneous Zones. Because to me, it is so important that we understand that we are, the ones in charge here. And he said, listen to this. He said, in today's society, people tend to think that smart people are the ones who have academic degrees, take good marks in exams, are good at math or physics, speak well and politely, or have a lot of money. However, there are many people like these who suffer from depression, anxiety, or even some psychiatric. An intelligent person should be described as happy and effective in everyday life. Someone who knows how to solve problems, creates resources, is autonomous, independent, and overcomes adversity. So speak well. I want to just quote another bit from here. It says, however, how many of you can see this, that it is not intelligent to be running yourself stupid every day? All right? I just want to just say, I've been a bit distracted. Jody and Kimmy are having a discussion on the side here about SAD, SAD syndrome, that I alluded to. Sometimes people just call it seasonal depression. The actual official name in the book is seasonal affective disorder. So they're all interchangeable, Kimmy, and you're right. It's all the same thing. And, the good news is if you suffer from it, there are things you can do. Create more light is one of them. I know that. So I'm going to be talking about that if I get to the unboxing today. I'm going to be talking about that, how I'm creating more light for this winter, because I know that, it gets pretty dark. It's one of the reasons I bought this particular house, is because it has so much light in it. There are windows everywhere, above me, below me, around me, and they are big windows. And funny enough, except for one room, which would be the room I spend quite a bit of time in, which is my craft room. And I especially spend quite a bit of time there in the winter. And so, this is about, what am I going to do about it? If I know that bothers me, what am I going to do about it? So I'm going to talk to you, because, I like to be prepared, not scared. Yes, Kimmy is saying she gets SAD in the winter, which is quite normal. And do you take vitamin D every day, Kim? And what did you know that you can buy light bulbs that will give you daylight quality light, so that it will help lessen. I actually don't get SAD anymore, because I know that I need light, and I create it for myself. And I've start changing things like, how am I going to do? Yeah, I want to tell you something. Just taking vitamin D every day of your life, you will find, as long as it's okay with your doctor, and vitamin D is a very basic vitamin. But maybe talk to your healthcare provider about it. But this is like vitamin D, or your pharmacist. Vitamin D is such a simple solution. I found that taking vitamin D every day just changed my life completely. Yeah, Jody's saying I take it all year round as well. Yep. So let's review a little. All right. Remember, it is our job to do the best with every day we're given. Not somebody else's job. It is our best to be happy. Let's do our best to be creative. Let's do our best to look after our personal hygiene. Let's do our best to bring joy to others. All right? It is by these daily routines that we get to live. So think about that. It's when we do these right things what about, it is part of our routine to eat well for our bodies. Not for our kid. Now, my kid loves sugar, but for my adult needs better food. Yes, Kimmy's saying about affective disorder. She said that every winter she tries to stand by the window to get sun. I do two things, Kimmy. I make sure that every morning in the winter, I totally open up the doors. I've got big patio doors, and I in the middle of the house, and I open those right up, and then I go outside. I don't just look at it. I go outside, and while the cold air is coming into my house, giving me fresh air, not recirculated air, I'm letting fresh air in. Um, I go and do things outside. All right. And, I will do things that are useful. I will go and take, oh, I got an itch in my ear. I will, take things to the compost, or I will, take things out to the garbage. I will do something. But what I want to do is to get outside and breathe lots of fresh air before I start my day. Now, some of you know I'm not the best at waking up in the morning. So one of the first things I do in the winter is I put on a tracksuit that will cover the fact that I've still got my jammies on. How many of you know what I mean? This is called, okay, I can put the hoodie up. Nobody's going to know I haven't done my hair. And zip up the tracksuit. And it is nice and warm. But that is what I do. And so I like this quote about that because I think it's true. It says, I may be crazy. Most of the best people are. So some of you are going, why don't you just get dressed? That takes a lot longer. Some of you know what I mean. Yes. For me, getting dressed takes a long time. I have to finish other routines before I get dressed. I have to sit at the computer and check emails while I, drink my first coffee. And then my second one. Maybe halfway through the second one, or even after my second one, I can get up and go and think about getting dressed. And sometimes that takes a long time. But that's my routine. And hey, how do I look on it? Yeah, Kimmy's saying, I feel if I don't keep busy that I feel the depression. Yeah, that's true of life. If ever, remember how many times have you heard me say that, Kimmy? You can't think your way out of depression. You do it. Do your way out of depression. If ever you're feeling depressed, do something to change how your mind's thinking. Remember what we said, movement of the mind, and body and things. So let's do a little exercise. Ask yourself this week, how am I going to reduce my stress with movement? What comes to mind? How am I going to reduce my stress with movement? Because every time you move, think about it. It makes your blood flow a little better. It makes your lungs work a little better, your heart work a little better. Every time you move, get off the couch, get away from the computer, do those sort of things. Every time you do that, you are going to be better. Now, I have a routine that is quite simple for me. I have a watch that also has a timer on it. And if you're lucky enough to have one, that's not a bad idea. If you've got a kitchen timer, you may want to think about using that. But I literally during the day, I set my watch to remind me that an hour has gone past. And sometimes I actually set it for just half an hour. Because it's amazing, and I'm certain you've all found that, where you're busy, you go to the computer to go and write an email or do something, and the next thing you know, you've been watching the crazy cats, or you've been finding out why Meghan and Harry did this, or you've been, whatever it is, right? It's so much clickbait out there, and I fall prey to it like everybody else. But what I find is when this thing goes off and I go, what have I done in the last half hour? I have been I allowed them to take control of my day, is what I remind myself. So stop that, get back, and do what you're meant to be doing. So think about that. And, what I want to say is, the things that you need to do to move, all right? You need to get off your butt. It's quite simple. So here's my next question to you. What excuses do you have? When you're sitting there, oh, I'll just carry on for another 5 minutes, you know that's going to be another half hour. And, we agree, don't we, that nobody else can change those excuses. Nobody can stop them except you, right? Unless you're a child, in which case it would be a parent. But if you think about that, there's a lot of logic in that, isn't there? If we are just going, oh, I'll just let me have another 5 minutes, that's what a child would say. So are you being childish when you do that? Yeah, you're not in control of your body, all right? Your child is ruling your body. So this is like, hey, grow up. And what I try to do then, I'm not perfect at it, people, you know that. What I try to do is say, okay, go and do the next thing, and then you can come back and carry on playing this game or doing whatever it is I got distracted with. Aldous Huxley said, consciousness is only possible through change, and change is only possible through movement. So my question is, if I said to you, I would give you, $1,000 if you can get up and move right now, could you do it and still listen to the broadcast? Yeah, you could. You know you could. Right? Remember that one of the things Jody learned was just, spending time doing this, even though she couldn't walk, she could move. And it really had an effect on her blood pressure, and her doctors were amazed what she accomplished. So, don't tell me what you can't do. Work on what you can. And here's our next subject. How am I going to reduce my stress by being happier this week? What comes to mind? I just thought I'd let you know that part of movement and happier, I've got one combined this week. I'm going to start building the new unit in my studio, the one that will allow me to empty the boxes that are left. So exciting. However, I've had a very valid excuse for some time, for about 2 or 3 weeks now. No, to be fair, the studio was only finished this week, but I was trying to make sure I was prepared. So the moment that the studio was finished, I still have to replace the blind, but other than that, it's done. And, but what I did was I had everything ready. And one of the things that I need to do is when I'm building this unit, I need to put it together with those zap straps, those plastic ties. I wonder what they're called officially. Somebody will know. I call them zap straps. Maybe that is what they're called. I don't know. But they're the sort of things that they use for cufflinks sometimes, where they're plastic and you tighten them up. And the reason is because I've got one of those QB units that I want to put in there, zip ties. Thank you very much, Kimmy. I appreciate the help. But I wanted zip ties because I'm going to put some heavy stuff in that unit, and it's going to be one of those QB units that I've got. And what I wanted to do, like that there, all right, but they're going to be a block of them. But I want to make sure that I tie them together. And I knew I was going to be doing that a couple of months ago, so I bought the zip ties to do that with. And I knew exactly where they were. They were in the unit that I built on the deck. And if some of you who follow me regularly, you will know that I had to take that unit down. And that meant that I tidied things away. Do you think I could find them? And what I did was I didn't let it overwhelm me. I just went every day. You will take 5 minutes and look in another place and keep looking. And boy, I want to tell you something. I was getting pretty frustrated because every day I looked again and again and again. And I noticed the one place my body kept going back to was my laundry room, where I keep things like my drill and my bits and WD-40, all those sort of things. I have a filing cabinet that contains all of those sort of things. And I kept, actually 2 of them, and I kept going back to that area. And I thought, well, my body seems to be telling me that it's in here. But I went through those drawers 3 times and I didn't find them. And then this week, what I said was, what if you've spent a lot of time now, probably over an hour, looking for them in different places every day, more than that, maybe 2 hours, and you haven't found them. Now, then my adult said, well, in order to move forward, because this is now stopping you moving forward, why don't you check the price of getting some new ones? And then I checked the price, and to get another 100 of them would cost me $16. And I went, is $16 worth the price of moving forward? And then my mind said to me, I don't know if any of you relate to this, you know that the moment you put in that order, you're going to find them. How many of you know that one? All right. But I said, at least it would be a step in the right direction. And I'm certain you'll find uses for the other ones. Or be able to give them away to other people for Christmas, whatever. Everybody needs them. So what I did was I actually checked, on Amazon, and I put them in my basket because I do my Amazon order normally on a Sunday or Monday. All right. So I put it in the basket another 100 times. And then I sat down, and as I sat down, my body said, go back to the laundry room, Sal. And I went, but I've done it 3 times. I've been through all those drawers. It's not in there. Exactly. It's not in there. And I'm going, but that's where I would have put it. Yes, but what if you didn't? What if you thought that's where you'd put it, but for some reason, when you tidied up quickly, you didn't put them there, not in the place that they were meant to go? What if you quickly tidied them away somewhere else? Where would you have quickly tidied them away in your laundry room? And above my filing cabinets, there is a shelf with a couple of cubies on it. First one I looked in, there they were. So now, how many of you can relate to this, right? But it was like, I had got to the point where I'm going, moving forward, even if it cost me another $16 was more important than this, but only by a little bit. And then that helped to release, I believe, whatever it was, my determination to find them one more time. And I did. How do you think that felt? And now it's like, now I don't have any excuses for building the next unit. All right. I've got the bits. I have no excuses. So does it mean I have to build the whole thing? No. My first goal this week will be to build the bottom of it. Now, you and I both know that, that I will say that to myself, but I will probably do a little bit more. But I want to build it properly with the zip ties and everything and make sure that it works. Happy with that. So look at that again. Do you think that making that unit is going to check a lot of boxes? Do you think I'm going to be happier once I start it? I'm already happier because I found the zip ties. Am I going to be happier that I'm taking another step forward? Yeah, because it's another step forward to the big goal, which is to get the studio tidied up. Am I going to be moving? I assure you, building one of those things requires a lot of movement, a lot of creativity, a lot of self-control. The air is inclined to turn blue a couple of times when I'm building those things because, things don't go right all the time. It's going to require a lot of focus. I'm building a cube unit to go in the closet area of my spare bedroom, which is going to be my studio. And I say that I am going to be building it in the closet area because I literally don't have doors on it. I'm just going to, left it open so that I could just build inside it. I think you probably remember the cube unit I built on the side some months ago. That has been so useful. And I've now got more than enough to build more. So I'm really happy about that. So do you understand that every day, if I said to myself every day, what one step am I going to take to make myself happier? Could you all think of something, one step that you could take this week to make yourself happier? What would it be? What about one step that you could take today to make yourself happier? What would it be? What about one step that you could take this hour to make yourself happier? Maybe it's listening to Sal, right? What about this minute? Maybe just smiling will make you happier. Okay, hold on a second. Can you see them right there? Can you see that cube right there, Kimmy? They're like plastic material. Hold on. They actually are wonderful. This is an old wall unit that I had. And now what I'm going to be doing is building cubies in some of them. It's like plastic material. Does that help you? And these actually aren't square. These are longer. But you literally sort of build them, you know, like this. You create a cube. Got it? And these are washable, and they're actually remarkably strong. And they look, as you can see, they look really nice when they're finished, and very good price. And I just knew what I decided this time in my life was this is not about impressing everybody else. Now, what sort of storage do I need for the way I like to live my life? And the answer was, Sal, you've got so many little things, all right? And, you know, it's like cubies work really well. So I've got all cubies in my craft area. But, you know, I know that what I did on this one, I don't know which one you can see. Okay. Can you see it? Yes, you can see inside it. So that's one half of it. That's all filled with glasses. All right. But they're not getting dusty. Makes sense. They're now in an enclosed space, so the dust isn't getting to them. And so that's, you know, what I'm thinking. What sort of storage do I need to work for me? Now, I don't want to do it all in cubes. And by the way, that goes across about 10 feet across, that whole unit. I'm just going to do some. Yes, it looks good. It looks neat. And it has a function. So I will probably do every other level like that. So I can put the bulk stuff in there. That will make me happy. It's going to look a lot neater and more organized. And, you know, I love to be able to create that. You know that I started off life not as a tidy person. I am teaching myself. When you put it away in a cubie, it may not be tidy in the cubie, but it certainly looks tidy on the outside. And what I found is I've got so many little categories of stuff. All right. And I'm entitled to that. So I got a cubie for sewing things. I've got a cubie for crocheting things. And I know I haven't done crochet for a while, but you know me, I might. You know, I've got a cubie for travel things. I've got a cubie, you know, and that's like my life is in boxes, literally, and it works. I like this. I saw this quote and I liked it. It said, your hand opens and closes, and opens and closes. If it were always a fist or always an outstretched hand, you would be paralyzed. Your deepest presence is in every small contracting and expanding. The two as beautifully balanced and coordinated as a bird's wing. Think about that. You know, if you want to exercise, literally fly, right? And if you can do it, I'm going to hit these things now. Hang on a second, people. I need to tidy those away. But you know, you want to do exercises? How many of you remember the Karate Kid? Can you remember how he had to stand like this and then on one leg? Can I do it? Oh, I can do that. Not well, but I can do it. All right, so it's all about using those muscles. And by the way, if you use these muscles, even if you do it sitting down, can you feel how it changes your posture? All right? Just fly. You can probably hear a couple of creaks going on, but it is movement. This movement is making your heart work. By the way, if you decide to swim, you are making your chest cavity work. One of the biggest problems we have as we age is we slump like this. So if you want to improve that, remember to swim. Hi there, Antoinette. Good to see you. We are pleased to see you. So I reduce my stress by doing simple things, right, along the way, all right? Little stretches. You all know I do stretches lying in bed. I do the swimming one like this. When I'm lying in bed, I go up, and then I stretch all the way up until both my hands are flat on the bed. And I can feel the stretch here. And isn't that nice? Jody said, I like the reminder of fly because it also stands for first love yourself. So fly, be in motion, fly. All right. Now, you don't have to do it for 3 hours, people, but do you do it every day? If I paid you $1,000 to do it for a minute, do you think you could? Do you think that would work? Yes, Kimmy's saying that she does boxing movements, all right? Now, do you do them sitting down or, and I'm doing this like a walking movement, like I'm a fast walker. I'm really moving my hips as well. Why? I'm trying to improve my core. So that movement is a really good one. And as I've said, when I'm watching television, at least once during the evening when I'm watching television, I get up and I start doing this sort of a walk, all right, where I'm literally moving my core like this. And, and it's amazing how your muscles come in. And I will do it while I'm watching a program or the news or whatever it is that I'm watching. And I find the first minute it's a bit of a strain, quite honestly. By the way, this also moves my knees. And if I want to, I actually do the walking for a while when I get bored. And then I do this sort of walking, right? But I just keep doing it to keep myself entertained. And once I've done 10 minutes of that, I go, okay, that's done. I made a step forward to improving my core. You see, I don't have to do 3 hours. But if I did 10 minutes, it's going to help. All right, so very important. And ask yourself, how am I going to reduce my stress by being more creative this week? What do we know? What happens is we get caught up in our left brain, which is the things we have to do. And instead of balancing out our creative side, I found that I start my day now. I know it sounds insane. With a sort of, I start by sipping the coffee, doing the emails and stuff. That's great. Then I go and get dressed and everything. But then I come back and I sit again on my ball chair, which makes me move. All right. As you know, that's all part of my movement is sitting on a ball chair because that keeps my core going. And then what I found is I then spend my creative time first thing in the morning. I know it sounds strange. When I say first thing in the morning after I got dressed, I'm awake now. And what I do is I look at, whose birthday is coming up. I've got a neighbor that's going into hospital this week. And so this is like, okay, fine. I've been making a get well card for that person. And, so this is all about taking a step in the right direction. I don't have to finish it. And by the way, because the get well card is, quite easy to cut out, doesn't take a lot of time, I decided I'd do 2 at the same time. Why? An air and, I've got the one that I want, and I've also got a spare now. And I've got a box where I'm keeping spare cards that I've made, because sometimes it's as quick to make. Well, it takes a long time to make one, but it actually doesn't take that much extra time to make two once you're in the flow of it. I wonder if that makes sense to anybody. So I'm trying to use that time and going, don't make one, make two. I have, a little birthday card made, which is like, if I need a birthday card in a hurry, I know it's in the box. There's at least one backup in the box. And if I want to personalize it, all I have to do is the personalization. I don't have to start from scratch. So, I do those little things in my creative time. And once I've done that, I know I've given my brain a bit of balance before I get caught up on all the linear stuff, I also want to give a comment, and I want to talk about this a bit more maybe in another broadcast, but how many of you use day timers to keep on track? How many of you use to-do lists? And how many of you use bullet planners? And the reason that I want you to think about that is, depending on how you think, it is important to know how to keep aware of things. I find that I cannot work with anyone for a very long time. I don't know why that is, but the one that I have definitely found has been working for me really well. I use a big program that I keep all my notes in. Why? Because I don't want them in my head, and that really works for me. But what am I going to do today? I have just one sheet like this. And down this side, I keep all the things that I'm working on. Those are all the tasks that I'm working on. At the top, this area here is what appointments have I got? Then the appointments will go in this section. Then what do I need to do today? And by the way, it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things. That's all. I don't try and do 25 anymore. All right? And then what do I want to do this week? Why do I need that? Because I need to know if I want to design. All right, so let's take this card for this person that I wanted. All right. What part of the next step was to design it? And then the next step would be to cut it. And then the next step would be to put it together. Then find the envelope and, do all of that. So all I did was, each day of the week, I did another step. Makes sense? Yes, Jody's saying she uses a combination of Google Calendar, Asana, which is the one I keep all the bulk information in, to-do lists, and her phone reminders. All right, so it doesn't matter how you do it, but I saw something this week that really sort of triggered me, and it made me think about how stressed we become. And that is, I remember reading a long time ago in a time management thing, what 6 things do you want to get done today? Yes, a desk calendar is a really good one. I also, as you know, I speak very highly. I don't have one here right now. Have an erasable pen, a pen with erasable ink in it. Why? Because you can, as you've done it, you can either, some people just like to check it. I like to just get rid of it. It's done. That part is done. It's gone. I get great joy out of erasing it for some reason. And so this works really well. I can have all this stuff here, and just during the week, I'm, erasing things. And then the next week I start again. Why? I want to get everything in important order for me. How important is it? And of course, Jody, I agree with you. I also print out a day timer, but I find I don't use that very much. Right? This is what I use. So, it's like, do what works for you. And by the way, that's part of my creativity, is to, design things like that, right? I know the ultimate one I want to design, and I'm going to, start working on it pretty soon, because I think that with the way my brain works, I find that I record so much, right? I use the Asana program, but I end up with so much in there. And even if I try to do it by the day, there's so much. If I use Google Calendar, I have so much on there, and I don't want that. I need it Nice and clean and simple. Like, okay, fine. Every morning I read down the list, see what's the next step in case I need to put it up here. And then I really just work on this top thing during the day. Now I get other things done, but that's the one I'm working on. And by the way, I focus, the reason this is in yellow is this is what you need to focus on. Whether you get all the rest done doesn't matter. Have you done these things? That's what I ask myself, because it is an experiment in focus. And that is the next subject, right? Which is, do you reduce your stress by being focused? Jody is saying that her Google Calendar is frightening. It scares me every morning. Jody, what I've done is opened up a new calendar, called it 2021. And then I don't know if you know, but on the left-hand side, you can add birthdays and whatever other calendars you've got to it. The other thing is, get rid of the tasks that are on the right-hand side, because that's what fills it up. All right. I'm total overwhelmed when I look at it. So if I think about, and that would be your challenge, your creative challenge for the week, Jody. All right. How do I reduce what it is showing me? And I have a suggestion, which would be basically based on, taking your life in quadrants, and that is, take 1 hour where you have, this is creative. And that's where Asana is good, because you can just have one block and it's creative, and then you can have subcategories of what you want to do. But the thing is, what you need to know is that you have a block that is creative. And have you done that block? Even if it's 10 minutes, have you done that block today? And for you, creative includes cooking and doing stuff like that. Yeah, how many of you have, like Jody and myself, have things colored? It makes it creative, Jody. That's why it works for you. But think about it, Jody. Remember, okay, remember the story, because this is what I want you all to remember. When I came back to my house in March, this much had been done, okay, and this much still needed to be done. They were called the deficiencies. All right, so they had done all the big stuff. The new roof was done. Actually, no, I've got to be quite honest. By comparison, this was the roof, the electrical. For those of you who don't know, I had a fire in my house and they had to redo everything, right? So all the big stuff was done when I came back in March. And all I had left was the deficiencies, the things that were not quite right. And let's say they were that big. Now, in March, when I looked at that list, I thought, a couple of months and I'll be done. It's 5 months later and I'm still not done. But did I stress out every week about that? No. What I did was every week, I look at this and I go, insurance, because that's the category I've got it under. Insurance, what are the next steps? All right. And I've got these next steps. And what do I need to do on the first one? One thing a day. It's in my 1 step a day thing. And here I am. It's taken that long. But, it stopped me getting all stressed out. And yes, I would have liked it done in 2 months, for sure. But it wasn't. It took longer. But I'm there, or just about. I still have to wait over a month for the last blind because they're having it custom made. But other than that, the electrical will go in on Wednesday, the new lights. I thought you'd like to see those. So I'm going to brought them to show you. Yes, exactly. Jody is saying it takes discipline not to stress about the deficiencies. The fact I had, drawers in my vanity that were only, when you pulled them out, they only came out just about a foot. bit more than, yeah, what's maybe 2 feet. The drawer only came out 2 feet. It didn't come all the way out, like, a 3-foot vanity. No, it only came out a bit. And it was just like, and they were already at knee level, those drawers, no, actually hip level, and it's like, I'm old. Bending down to the floor level is not easy for me. So you can understand, what did I sat and my creative time, think about this. I use my creative time, in some ways, solving problems, because I go, if I had a magic wand, what would I do about that? Well, I would completely replace the vanity. Well, that's not going to happen. Because the insurance people aren't going to pay to replace it. So now then, what's plan B? What would be your next magic wand moment? I'm a great believer in having a magic wand in my head. And I go, okay, what would be your next thing? I say, to make those top drawers bigger. Can they be bigger? So I checked inside, and guess what? Yeah, there was no reason they couldn't be bigger. So when I had the top guy from the Renault guy, come in to talk about the deficiencies, I said, I want you to open that drawer. And he went to open it, and it just came out a bit. I said, yeah, were you surprised too? And he said, yes. I said, did I expect that? No, I expected a full drawer. So then he said, maybe there's a reason why it isn't. I said, I wondered about that too. So I opened up the center area, and I let him stick his head in, and he said, there's no reason. I said, I know. Think we can build bigger ones? Or would you rather replace the whole unit? You see, I like to give people choices. Guess what he said? I'll get my carpentry guys in and have a look at this. And I had them done this week. And, they only extended them by about a foot. But you know what a difference a foot makes? I can now put bottles that I needed to have on my vanity into my drawers. It totally changed my life. But you see, I take creative time to just sit and go, if I had a magic wand, what would I do about that? That would be my dream. And then, is it possible to make the dream come true? I don't know if I don't ask. And if I hadn't asked, I wouldn't have got them. I didn't think they were going to say yes, but they did. So think about life, about being in balance, right? The reason it took, now there's some people that say, well, you didn't nag them enough, and and you could have got it done in 2 months if you nagged them enough, and I'm going, yeah, maybe you could be right on that, but have I still got it done? And I was quite sad when I had to say goodbye to my friend Josh the painter, because he's so good. Oh, Antoinette saying, I wish I had your positive thinking, Mama Sal. You can have it if you want it. And just keep coming back to the broadcast, because I assure you, it'll rub off. Yeah, Antoinette, I've got to tell you a story about one of my viewers. Are you ready? Because it'll tell you how you can change your thinking if you just keep practicing it, right? And that's why people come to the broadcast, because they practice changing their thinking. So I had this one viewer that used to stress about everything, and she listened to me for some time, a couple of years, I think. And then one day, Antoinette, what she did is she opened up the door to her basement and looked down, and her basement was flooded. All right? It was absolutely flooded. And she said, Sal, in the old days, I would have totally freaked. And she said, and as I looked at it, I went, now, what would Mama Sal say about this? And she said, she'd say, way above my pay grade, and close the door. And that's what she did. Antoinette, she just closed the door and picked up her purse, went to her mother's, and who lives a couple of blocks away, and went and had coffee. And while she was there, she phoned the plumber and said, I got a major leak in my basement. It's a bit of an emergency. But she said, in the old days, I would have totally freaked. Totally freaked. And she said, now I know, oh yeah, that's way above my pay grade. And closed the door. So you see, Antoinette, it's something that you look at Jody. Look at what Jody has learned. We had a viewer here, Antoinette, that when I first started DearMamaSal, she had not been out of her house in 5 years, 4 or 5 years. Maybe it must have been 4.5, that I'm thinking 4 or 5. But anyway, she had not been out of our house for years. And literally, if you were lucky enough to have been with us at that time, we took her step by step until she moved, took a step out of the house and took a picture of herself. And then we had her walk down to the garden gate and take a picture of herself. And now I want to tell you that she then went in a car somewhere. And then, out of choice, not because she had to go to a doctor or something, but she hadn't voluntarily left the house. She had gone out for, when she was forced to. But, and then over the course of a very short period, she went and got a driver's license. And we've just heard that she's gone back to work. So, you look at it and you go, just take little steps. So let me ask you, Antoinette, what is it that you would like to improve your thinking on? Right? What would you like to improve your thinking on? Kimmy is asking, does anyone keep health journals? Yes, I think for those of you who have a lot of health issues, it's a really good idea to keep track. I keep health journals on my weight and my blood glucose things. I keep notes on my blood pressure as well, because I'm trying to make sure I can show my doctor that I don't need heart pills. How about this one? How am I going to reduce my stress by being more kind this week? How many of you know that when you're being kind, it's good for you? Okay, so Antoinette, I would love to talk that through with you, but my question is, may I talk about it on the broadcast? In other words, is it okay to talk about it live, knowing that this broadcast will stay on the feed? So other people will hear about it, but you'll be amazed how many people that might help. Let me know, and I'm not going to answer it until I know that I can talk about it. Okay, so Antoinette says yes. So here's what Antoinette shared with us. And by the way, it takes great courage to share. And well done, Antoinette. That's the first thing I want to do is give you a big hug. And thank you for talking about this, because when you talk about it, other people listening will know that their stuff is okay. Antoinette says, Mama Sal, I lost a child, and until now, it's been depressing and stressed out, and I don't know what to do. All right, so here's the thing. I know you're pretty intelligent because you're here. So my first question is, how long ago did this happen to you? And obviously, our hearts and prayers go out to you for the loss of a child. Yeah, of course you're crying again. That's quite normal. Quite normal. Don't worry about that. That you got huge sadness inside you. And you're probably not just crying about that. You're probably crying about other things you've lost in your life as well. Because it's amazing how the one loss will set up others. So do you find that it's sort of like in cycles? You sort of you get emotional about it, and then you sort of get okay for a while, and then you start to laugh and almost feel guilty, and then the whole cycle starts again. And if so, that is quite normal. And I do want to tell you, it's okay to laugh even if you're grieving. It's okay to cry for as long as you need to. Right. So Antoinette's saying, I lost Chloe in 2011, and it still seems like yesterday. There's part of me, Antoinette, that says, I hope that you will understand that it will seem like yesterday for the rest of your life. That is my belief. But here's my question. Do you want to be paralyzed? Remember what it said. We can make a fist and do nothing, and that would make us paralyzed. Or we can make a palm and do nothing, and that would be paralyzed as well. So what makes us live is that we are capable of controlling those actions. All right. And I'd like you to start practicing doing that. This is, I am paralyzed with grief. Yeah. So here's what Antoinette says. It's a never-ending cycle. I am reliving her loss over and over. Quite normal. But do you want to stay paralyzed is my question. It's not that you want to have that tape. It's, do you want to stay paralyzed by it? Do you want to, can I, we have an expression here, Antoinette, and I don't know how long you've been listening to us, but every now and then I use a 2x4. In other words, I hit people over the head with a reality. All right, so you don't want to be paralyzed anymore. Okay, so may I hit you with a 2x4? Because it is really important, and you can say no. And the reason I always ask people is life is about choices. You see, Antoinette can choose to stay stuck for the rest of her life. That is her life. If she wants to grieve for the rest of her life, that is okay. By the way, I think she probably will grieve for the rest of her life to some degree. And Antoinette just said, go on, Mama Sal. Okay, thank you, honey. And that is what I want you to understand. You choose whether to stay crying for the rest of your life, right? We can't control that, honey. Yes, Kim knows about this. Kim's saying some people feel guilty for moving on. Absolutely. But if you had a magic wand, Antoinette, would it be your wish that you could control the amount of time you spend grieving? Not that you stop grieving. I believe that you will grieve. I still grieve. You know something? I know this is not a comparison, but I want you to know. My friend Yvonne sent me a note yesterday and said, do you know that it's 15 years since we lost Buddy? Buddy was my dog before Bean Bean. And I still grieve losing Buddy. I grieve losing Bean Bean as well. But, I still miss him terribly. I will miss him for the rest of my life. I will miss Bean Bean for the rest of my life. But I don't have to spend all day doing it. But I know that every now and then that wave will hit. So let me share with you something that Benji taught me. And Benji said that he learned to take a negative emotion. Time for new pens again, people. And what he taught me was what he does, and it really does work. So I'm going to share it with you. But he said whenever he gets a negative emotion, like anger or sadness, would be one. All right. Jerry Jampolsky said there are two emotions in the world: love and fear. And so, if you're let's work with sadness. All right. What he said was, if you're feeling sad, feel sad, but limit the amount of time you allow yourself to feel sad. All right. So let's say that you wake up and you start to cry missing Chloe. Totally understand that. Jody, could you make a note of the names involved here, just so that in case this comes back, I don't have to ask again. But what he said is this actually has great power. Would you agree? There's a great power about what you feel, the emotion that you feel. And what we've been teaching everybody over the months, Antoinette, is that feelings you can control. I know you think you can't, but you can control them. You just need a bit of practice. All right? So know that you will be able to control them. Even if you're not good at it yet, that you will be able to do it if you choose to. It is a choice. But what Benji said is that he taught himself, or he was taught, I'm not sure which, to actually take these negative things and turn them into action. So what he understood was that a negative feeling has power. And instead of sitting and dwelling on it, he would process it and go, okay, fine, I know what's going on. I'm having a negative feeling. And then he'd say, all right, now what am I going to do? And he'd take the power of that feeling and go clean, or tidy up part of the house. And, that would bring him great rewards because, Judy would come out and go, boy, what have you done here? And he'd go, no, I thought I'd tidy up a bit. But what actually he was feeling was sad, but he turned it into a positive. Does that make any sense to you, Antoinette? That you could use the energy from your sadness to start doing something positive for yourself. Yeah, that's what Kimmy's does as well now. Okay. And it is amazing. So the question is, Antoinette, yes, it does do it, doesn't it? Right. So what I'm saying to you is this is a choice that you make every time. So can you cry every day if you want to? Of course you can. This is your life. If you want to cry all day, every day, but you will not live. And I am certain Chloe would never wish you to spend your life in tears. All right. So Kimmy's saying, you can do so many things like do some exercise or clean the house or go explore outside, mow the lawn. Yeah, in my case, I go out and weed or, prune or do something. And it's amazing. It just changes the mind. So, Antoinette, all I ask is, can you see that that is a choice? That's I have two questions. Number one, can you see that that is a choice? That as that wave of sadness hits you, can you give yourself permission to feel it and go, it's okay to feel? Now, how much time do I choose to feel this negative emotion? And maybe give yourself, okay, I'm allowed to curl up in a ball for 5 minutes. Set a timer, 5 minutes. And then I need to get up and do something. By the way, Antoinette, keep, Kim was saying, if you like to keep journals, maybe keep a journal of how many times the wave hits you in a day. All right. And don't work at stopping the wave, work at extending the time. I found that by saying to my wave of sadness, I hear you, I know you're trying to have me cry right now, but I'm a bit busy. I wonder if we could do this later when I shower. And what I tried to train my mind to do was to allow me to cry when I was in the shower. And Jodi's saying she's learned that you honor the emotion, but you're not allowing it to paralyze you. All right. I give my emotion times of the day when it can, let rip if it needs to. I think we need to have those moments, right? But I do recommend that, you come work with us because we're dealing with this every single week in different ways. And Antoinette, we deal with it every day. And I know that if you're in the Philippines, you don't have the ability to maybe, go get therapy or whatever. I know it's frowned upon in a lot of cultures and so forth. But what I'm saying is that maybe we can hold your hand week by week as we deal with this. And as you hear other people's stories, it will help you deal with it. Hi, Kez. Always a pleasure to see you on a Sunday. Kez is saying, my grandma lost a toddler in Japan. I found out about her in my mid-20s and didn't talk about her much. We knew it affected her. After Gran died, my mom, who felt great pain, went to Japan. Yeah, it is really important to understand. And by the way, Antoinette, every single member of the Dear Mama Sal family has gone through pain. Quite honestly, I don't know one member of the Dear Mama Sal family. And by the way, they come in on different days and discuss. Every one of them has been through the pain and serious pain. For some people, it is health pain. Some people, it's emotional pain. Some people, it's loss pain. But one thing that I have noticed is they've all been through pain. And step by step, we help each other. Kez is saying that when her mother went to Japan, she found the grave, not only for herself, but for her grandmother. And now a large weight is gone. Yes, Antoinette, maybe you could have a special ceremony for the baby each year. We don't know that it was a baby, actually, Kez. I don't think she said that. So it might have, her child might have been a toddler. I didn't ask because I thought that she would let us know if she wanted us to know, but I choose not to presume it was a baby because it might not have been. So here we go. How many of you know that every week when we start broadcasts, I have a topic, but every week, if somebody comes in with an issue as important as this, I will stop what I'm doing to help the person in need. There we go. And saying Chloe was 14 years old. So here's a suggestion for you. And if you can do it, it will help you. But if you can't, then this is where the practice comes in. I found that for every wave of sadness, I tried to say to myself, yes, I understand the sadness, but what is the great memory? All right. And if you can balance every wave of sadness with a fun memory of Chloe, you will help your process along. Do you think you could do that? You go, okay, I'm devastated that she's gone, but wait a minute. If she hadn't been here for 14 years, I would not have walked down the beach, at so-and-so, and we wouldn't have done this. Is this making any sense, Antoinette? That for every time the negative emotion comes, can you control your mind and go, yes, 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 I understand, and we will be heartbroken forever. But remember, if she hadn't been in our life for 14 years, we would not have had this joy. All right? And have a list of different joys. Start making that list of all the wonderful joy that you had because she was in your life for 14 years. All right, so every day I go to the cemetery to visit her. I feel like she might be lonely there. No, I think it's what you do to help yourself, Antoinette. I think it's what you do because you feel guilty at some level. And so I want to give you a goal, if I may, another one, a bigger one. And I don't care how long it takes you. It can take you 5 years. I don't care. But I want you to have a goal. Let me know if I can give it to you. Another 2x4. I am pretty certain that if you're living in the Philippines, the chances are that you have faith. And you're probably Catholic, but you do not necessarily. So are you Catholic? You're not going to like it, Antoinette. Are you sure you want it? But it'll be a great goal. Okay, here you go. And I would put it up on your mirror at home. All right. This is my goal. My goal is to gain enough self-esteem and to know that Chloe already knows that I am here for her. And I believe in the resurrection, and I believe in so many things because I am a Catholic. And I know that she is not lonely because she is with God. And I know that I do not need to prove my sadness to the world by going to her grave every day. And so in the goal I want you to put up is I can be with her without going to the grave site. Right? And the goal is one day, do not go. Just one day. Can you imagine that you are capable of that? To one day not go, and that doesn't mean that you don't love her and want to keep her company. That means that everything in your religious teaching teaches you that she is with you all the time. You know that. And if she is with you all the time, Antoinette, is it not true that you are with her? Oh, no, don't try. Don't try. Trying is just your excuse. Well, I tried, but I didn't do it. Don't try. One day you're going to wake up and you're going to see that note and you're going to go, you know something? It's not going to be easy because it's a habit now. I'm in the habit of going to the grave every day. It's not going to be easy, but today's the day that I'm not going to go. So what are you going to do instead would be the question. What time of the day do you normally go, Antoinette? Because maybe you just spend that time you would normally go. The first step might be, all right, instead of going to the grave, I choose to get down on my knees and pray by the side of my bed for the time I would normally take to go to the gravesite. It may be a first step for you, because what you are trying to do is to teach yourself that you do not need to pay penance anymore, and that you need enough faith to know she is not alone. All right? So pray for the strength to understand that better. And then, if you manage to do it, would you please understand that you will feel all sorts of emotions about not having gone, but do not let guilt be one of them. Cry with happiness because it means you have broken a cycle. Get angry at yourself if that's what you want to do, but anger doesn't get you where you want to go. Anger is just your excuse. Guilt is just your excuse. So in your mind, can you see that you could do other things with that time and dedicate those things to your daughter? And say, and if you manage to do it one day a week, that is huge improvement and moving on with your life. And it's not that you have forgotten about her. You never will. It is about, I love her enough to get on with my life and be happier because she would want that. How are you doing, honey? And I am certain that everybody listening to this understands how difficult this step will be. Yes, and Jody, who's also Catholic, says she isn't alone, Antoinette. I'm Catholic too, and we're taught that the spirit leaves its earthly home, the body, and lives on joyfully for eternity in heaven. Yeah, and I know that to be true. All right, I choose to believe that that the people I have lost in my life, and I have lost many, are not, yes, sitting in the earth somewhere. I believe that they're up in heaven enjoying the life they didn't live down here on earth. And I really choose to believe that. By the way, Antoine, I even feel that about people I don't like that passed. I'm hoping they learned a few lessons, you know. So, Antoinette, I just need you to get back to me because I need to know that you're in control. It's okay if you're crying, but I just need to know you're okay, that you're still functioning. And if you feel a little bit out of control, just breathe deeply, all right? And go, this is just, it's so hard. Yes, it is so hard. Hey, Antoinette, think about this. You don't have to do it. Right? You don't have to do it. But if you want to move on with your life and if you want to be happier, then you may want to consider it. There is no have to in life. You're an adult. You choose. But I do not believe that you are proving anything to her by going to the gravesite every day. All right? So the goal is to learn to do your support of her in a different way. All right? And I am certain that it will feel very different and very difficult. But that is the learning. You need to have, I know you want to be happy. I know you want to be happy. And I want you to be happy too. But I can't do it for you, honey. We can hold your hand and be there for you, but we cannot do it, honey. Only you can. Right? And you don't have to do it. But if you want to improve your quality of life, one step would be a good goal. Just one. And you will find out, as other people have, once you've done it once, it won't be impossible to do it twice. And that doesn't mean you've forgotten about her, or you don't love her, or you don't have faith, or you are a bad Catholic. This means that you are learning to move on. And didn't Jesus die so that our sins would be forgiven? So Antoinette's saying, okay, Mama Sal, I won't go to her grave today. Right. Your choice. Right? It is your choice. The first step will be to learn that you can do it differently. All right? And it doesn't mean you don't love her. And it doesn't mean any less than anything you've been doing in your penance to go to the grave every day. But her feeling lonely, quite honestly, Antoinette, is your excuse. I go to the grave because she might be lonely. No, you go to the gravesite because that's the only way you could see to show how much you loved her. And so that you'd have a place to go cry. I understand that. but cry while you shower. And maybe you take, how long did the trip to the gravesite normally take you? Instead, I will spend time with my other daughters. That would be wonderful. And by the way, doing something fun, all right? Honor Chloe by doing something fun with your other daughters at 4:00 every day. What an incredible use of that sadness is to create fun. Go, 4:00 is the time when the family has fun. It's my new discipline. 4:00 is fun time, not cry time. A choice. So I will continue on this subject next week, because obviously, yet again, we helped somebody, and that takes time. And I will always gladly give that time. Antoinette, you are a brave, confident person. Write that on your mirror. I am a brave and confident person. And even if you don't 100% believe it, write it. Because if you know you are brave and confident, you will know you can do this. And it will be an incredible first step into your positive attitude. You remember, that's what you said, that's what you wanted. You can create it. And your first step will be way more difficult than a lot of people. But I believe that you are capable. And here's the thing. I would encourage you, please, for the sake of everybody who listens to these broadcasts, either live or later, please make sure you come back at the end of the week, either on Friday, one of the broadcasts on Friday, or on Sunday, and let us know how you did. Because we all know, because we're human, that thinking you can do it is one step. Actually doing it is another. But let us know, did you manage to do it once? And if you manage to do it more than once, I want you to give yourself such a huge pat on the back. When you look in that mirror in the morning, I want you to go, I took 2 steps towards being a more positive person today, this week. All right, see them as stepping stones. Maybe draw them. By the way, did you know that you can draw on mirrors with dry erase pens? Okay. All right, so thank you, Nada. Jody will take a note for me. Nada is asking, she wants me to do another session on jealousy, comparing ourselves to others. No problem, we'll do that on the feelings for next week. I look forward to hearing your progress, Antoinette. You see, I know that you can do it, because that's what you need to do to get your goal of being more confident and have a better mental attitude. So I know that you can do it because you're here. All right? And therefore, if you know that you can, the only question is, will you? And that we cannot control. And by the way, I understand that you could do it today. Yeah, I understand that. But you might not. And that's also okay. But I would like you to keep notes on how you feel, good and bad, all right? How you feel when you don't. right? So you're going to feel quite normal. You're going to have some negative feelings about it. But on the other hand, can you give yourself pat on the back for taking a step towards moving on with your life? Can you see that you have made your other children happier at 4 o'clock? That they now, maybe 4 o'clock is the time that you bake things, or 4 o'clock is the time you make things. Yeah. And Nada, I have shared that, even though it gave me the option not to share it, because I need Antoinette to see that her talking about this helped you. Antoinette, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Nada is in her own pain. And you talking about this and our talking about the steps you could take. There you go, right? Your creative mind is kicking in. Antoinette's saying, instead of me lighting a candle next to her grave, I will light a candle at home. Brilliant step. And Kimmy's saying, I had a situation happen on Friday. It was cyberbullying. That is a subject that I've wanted to tackle for quite a while. Kimmy, would you like me to do some words on that? You know, I might even bring in, a segment each week where we talk about jealousy and cyberbullying. It doesn't have to be a complete program. I might just keep adding to it if you think there is stuff that you would like to learn about that. And so both Nada and Kimmy, if you want me to do a full program about it, then please, would you do me a favor, give me the story that I can work around. And then, that will give me more ways to go at it, if you like. And I'm presuming if you send me the story, it's okay for me to put your name to it and talk about it. Nada, privately do that, absolutely. And if you would rather that I leave it sometime and then bring it up later when people won't know it's related to you, I can do that as well. Because, I am so talented, right? So, number one, a big round of applause to Antoinette, who definitely wants to move on with her life. Definitely wants to move on with her life. Who is prepared to face the demon and to something, Antoinette, when I deal with something like that, that's how I choose to see it. The devil versus God. And I know the devil wants to keep me trapped and God wants me to live. All right. And let's literally, I hear you on this shoulder. I hear you saying this is what I need to do. But God is love and God knows that it's time for me to move on. Yes, you can send me a private message on Messenger directly. Yes, no problem. You are connected that way, so that you can do that. And Nada, you know how to get hold of me, so do that. And the main thing is, do we all see that talking about these subjects helps not just you, but other people as well? That's what I want you to know. I don't know how long Antoinette has been listening to us or watching us before she plucked up the courage to come and talk to us. And then how long, it hasn't been that long, that we've been aware of her as part of the group, and now she tells us the story. But something, we know that there have been viewers that waited 4 years. All right, so it doesn't matter how long it takes. The thing is, once you start talking about it, you will start moving in the right direction. And it's difficult. We know that. And is it emotional? Of course it is. Even I cried. And how could I not cry? I'm certain those of you watching cried. But that doesn't mean that we have to stay crying. What that means is it's okay to feel. But now we get on with our lives. All right? It's okay to feel. But don't spend your life in negative energy. Go, okay, I felt this. Now what can I do to make my life happy again? So thank you all for hanging in here with us. All right, Jody, another one. This is, could you do a subject about how to get over the last time you saw a family member before they died? All right, write me that story, Kaz, to DearMamaSal@gmail.com. Write me the full story, all right? Just so I have all the context. The more context I have, the more I will be able to help you. Again, if it's okay to mention your name, I will. If you rather I didn't, I will put it on the back burner and let some weeks go by and then bring it back. So people won't necessarily, and it'll just be a viewer wrote to me, all right? Antoinette is saying, I've been watching you for 2 years now as a silent viewer. Yep. I'm so glad you came out of the woodwork. I am so honored that you came out of the woodwork. And Antoinette, this is the whole reason we do what we do here. And Antoinette says, thank you so much, Mama Sal. I feel like 30 pounds was lifted off my chest. Then you have made my day. And you have told us all why it is worth doing what we do every week and why we keep coming back every week. It may not be easy to come back and do these things every week, but I want to tell you something. Every time we hear a story like that, and every time I read the words, I feel like 30 pounds was lifted off my chest, then I know we're doing the right thing. Thank you, everybody. I don't do this alone. I do not do this alone. It is all of you coming to support one another that makes this possible. I hope you know that from a very deep place. So this is me saying thank you all for being here. We will see you next week. Remember, you can write to me anytime at DearMamaSal@gmail.com. Thank you, everybody. Love you dearly. Remember, you have choices that you choose to make or choose not to make. Choosing not to make a choice is also a choice. Bye-bye for now.